Hello, I'm bekkiflaherty and today we are going to be making this really cool sunglasses pattern here, including this rainbow dotted stripe in it. This is a beginner level tutorial, although if you've never made a pattern using the diamond method in Procreate before, then you might want to start with this video, which gives you a complete overview and introduction into the why as well as the how. For accessibility, all of my videos have fully edited subtitles and the different sections in this video are all listed in the description, so if you want to go ahead and skip to the beginning of the tutorial, you can do that right now. This pattern is just one in a series I'm working on to make this summer holiday pattern collection here. All of the motifs are made using this stamp brush set here, which you can get in the Pattern Maker's Toolkit over on my website. It's got all the motifs we'll be using in there, so you can trace over them and get you off to a quick start. Pattern Maker's Toolkit is free to join and I'll put a link for that in the description. I'm also going to be using my Pattern Maker canvas and Brushset to do all of these. You can find that over in my Etsy store, but if you don't have it, you can still follow along. You'll just need to create a 12 by 12 inch square canvas at 300 dpi. And on an empty layer, you'll just need to draw a diamond, roughly that sort of shape. Doesn't have to be precise, but it does need to go all the way off the edges of the canvas so that when you grab the layer, you can grab the whole layer. So I'll just delete that for now and we'll jump in and get started with the tutorial. So I'm going to start here in my sketch group and I'm going to start on this layer here that says draw here first. I'll find the sunglasses in this set. And I'm just going to stamp one of those out there. Actually, I'll make these pink and then add a new layer and put the other type of glasses on a new layer and then those glasses on another layer again. So I've got each of those on separate layers so I can easily move them around and build out the pattern. So I'm going to start by putting these across the middle and lining them up on there. I'll turn snapping and magnetics off because that's going to make it a bit easier, and I might just build a little bit of wobble into these. So my brush size that I have all of these on is 50%. So if you have yours at 50% and you're on this 12-inch canvas, they should roughly line it up along the middle there. So once I've got those three across the middle, I'm going to pinch to merge them onto the one layer and then merge them down with the sketch diamond. So now I've got the glasses and the diamond on the same layer. So I'm going to duplicate this layer, tap to transform, and then I'm going to turn snapping and magnetics on. And I'm going to drag it down here into the bottom corner until those lines, orange lines there, intersect. Then I'm going to duplicate the bottom layer again and do the same up into this corner until it snaps there. And then do the same over this side as well. And then those top four layers, I can pinch them together, tap and invert that. So now we need to do another layer in between. So I'm going to go back down to the pink layer, add a layer above, and first of all I'm going to stamp the square ones, turn snapping and magnetics off, and I'm going to kind of line it up so it's sort of staggered. So I've got one here, and then this is like the other bit of that square glasses. So I'm going to kind of line those up that way. Then I'm going to add a new layer again, and this time we'll stamp the heart-shaped glasses. Put those on there. Then we'll add a new layer again, and it's just these circle glasses we need to add now. So with these ones here, if I was to put that there, it's going to go off the edge, and that isn't going to work for duplicating the sketch around, because once this goes off the edge we lose that. But this bit of the pattern here is actually the same as down there. So I'm going to put this down there and we'll just put it roughly in place for now. And I'm not going to merge this one down. I'll merge these two glasses down with that layer now. So I'm going to merge this one and this one down with that one. But I'll leave these unmerged. I'm going to duplicate this layer, tap to transform, I'll turn snapping and magnetics on. And then I'm going to just bring that copy down into this corner there, and then do that again and then bring it down into this corner. I'll merge those two, invert the colours, and just put those up the top, and I can actually merge that with the other green layer because we haven't changed the positioning on anything on any of these. So I can go back to this one now, and now I can put this one down there and line it up in the middle, and then I can pinch this one down with the rest of my pink motifs and duplicate that, and now build it around the top as well with snapping and magnetics on. Pinch those two together, invert those, and then merge it with the rest. So now we've got just these pink ones here, which are the ones we'll need to illustrate, and then the green ones we'll make by duplicating. This is a good time to have a look at the spacing and make sure you're happy with it. I think, so obviously we can't see the spacing between this one here and there because it goes off the edge, but down here this shows how it lines up. Whoops. So these glasses here are those ones, and these ones are those ones. So in terms of like this spacing here, that's that gap there, and I think that's pretty well spaced. Only thing I think I might do is just move these pink glasses along a bit. So let's go on this layer, and with freehand I'm just going to grab these and shuffle them along that way just a little bit. And now that I've moved that, I'm just going to bring that down here, and I'll erase the green. It's kind of like those 3D images now. There we go. And then I'll invert the colour on this one. And now we've got all of the outside bits in green and just those pink bits in the middle. So the next thing we want to do is our stripes. So I'm going to use my dot brush for this. So the tricky part with doing stripes in the diamond method is that on a square canvas, when you start here, you need to line up with over there. But on here, a diamond canvas, even though we're going across that way, when we get to this side, like this side actually needs to match up with down there. I'm going to start on this edge and go nearly up to that edge there, making it quite wobbly and wavy, and that will disguise any joins that we might need to make. So we'll just do those two first and see how that looks. So we'll duplicate that and then snap this into all the corners, and then when we get to this bit we know what we have to line up with. So for these two at the bottom, we just need to bridge those gaps between there and there, which will then form these parts up at the top. So now we can duplicate that and use it to fill these parts up here as well. So these two pink ones here, I'm going to pinch those together and invert that. And now we can merge all of these green ones together. So that's our sketch all worked out now, and we're ready to start illustrating those motifs. So turn on the pattern folder, and on this layer here, I'm going to grab my white and tracing crayon and just trace over the glasses to start with. You don't need to trace around the inner frames because we'll be drawing the frame shape over the top with our colour. And then we're going to fill all of those in with colour drop, and as we always do, we now need to come and fill in these gaps. So duplicate this layer, come up here to Gaussian blur, put a Gaussian blur of 3% on this, hide that blurred layer with your automatic select tool, tap and adjust the threshold so that it comes halfway between this edge and the edge you want to fill. You can adjust that by dragging left to right. Once you've got your selection set, invert the selection, add a layer above and fill that layer with the same colour. delete your blurred layer and then you can merge those together, and now these are all filled. I'm going to put the sketch layer back on top there and bring the opacity down on there. So I think we'll start with illustrating the glasses and then we'll do the dots. So we'll add a layer above the glasses, make it a clipping mask, and I'm going to draw in the glasses frames in different colours. So I'll start with this pink colour, and I'm going to use the Fun Sketcher for this. So I'm just going to loosely scribble all of that in. If you want to keep maximum ease with your colour editability, keeping colour editability is always a good thing, but then there's different levels of how easy you make it for yourself. If you want maximum editability, keep all of these colours on a separate layer. So for the next colour, you could add a new layer and put it on there. Then all you need to do is alpha lock these layers, tap to fill, and you can easily change the colours. But because all of these are separate and none of them are going to be touching each other, it's also going to be easy to change the colours by just scribbling over them like that. So to save time, I'm just going to keep all of these colours on one layer. But as I said, if you want maximum ease of editability, then you could keep each one on a separate layer. I'm going to change my background colour to this colour. Now I'm going to add another layer above, make this one a clipping mask, and I'm going to colour over with the black for the glasses lenses now. Now I'm going to duplicate this layer, alpha lock the bottom one, and I'm going to fill this with white. And I'm going to tap to transform, turn off snapping and magnetics, and I'm just going to bring this down a little bit there, just so we get that little bit of offset on the glasses. Now I'm going to add a layer above and put a little bit of white highlight on the glasses. I'll use my tracing crayon to do that, and just go around all of these and just add that little highlight bit on the top of all of those. Now I'm going to add another layer and we'll work on the dots. So grab the mini dot brush, I'm already in white, and I'm just going to go over all of these dots that are in pink. Now I can turn off my sketch layer and duplicate the line of dots, and I'm going to alpha lock the layer and then we can recolor it. So I'll grab my colouring crayon and I'm just going to go through with these rainbow colours, see how they line up, and then maybe adjust the spacing on the colours. So I'll just go through these rainbow of colours and see how we manage to get them to line up. So now if I turn the sketch back on, the next one along is this one here, which is this one here. So we just need to carry on with that colour sequence from this one and hope that they all kind of line up in the end. This is sometimes the point where you have to decide how obsessive you are about having these colours match up perfectly, and if it's really important to you that they match up perfectly, then you could go and add a few more dots in and adjust the spacing. I'm hoping that this is going to not look too bad, so we'll see. So the next one along here would actually be orange, so I think if I just go back along here and add another different shade in for that blue, we should be able to fix this. So then the next one there would be that orange one. And then we can start with this one here. Unfortunately, there's no kind of hack for this unless you kind of really want to get your ruler out and be precise about it. It's just kind of trial and error and hope that they line up, and then just kind of make it work somehow, or go back and redo it if you want to. So we're there, that's the next one here, so that one will be up there, and that's going to be this blue colour, or at least for now it is. We may come back and change these in a minute. This one is then down there, so that's yellow. And we'll see how these are going to line up. So that needs to be some kind of pink going back from there. Well, actually, maybe we could have done that. So yellow, green, blue. And then we can make that one pink. There we go. I think that just about lines up. We'll soon find out when we make the pattern in a minute. So let's first of all do the offset thing. So let's duplicate this bottom layer of sunglasses and grab that bottom one plus this white layer of dots there. Then I'm going to tap transform, snapping's already off, and then I'm just going to drag down a little offset of that there. The next thing, or the last thing I'm going to do, is to add a little bit of black line work around the edges. I'm using my line details brush. This is a duplicated version of it, and I've just gone in and turned down the streamlining on that so it can be nice and scribbly. So I'm just using this to do a little bit of black line work around these so that they match with the other designs that we've made for this collection. Now that's all of our motifs illustrated, we can turn off the pattern marker, close this layer group, and turn off our sketch. So now we come to building the pattern tile out. You can either duplicate this whole group and flatten it, or you can turn off the background colour, swipe down with 3 fingers, copy all, come up to outside our layers group here, swipe down again and tap paste. And then you can turn the layers off. Those are all now safe and still there for later if we want to edit colours. And then we've got this flattened version here. So I'm just going to put a mark going off all the way off each of these 2 corners. I'm going to duplicate this layer, turn snapping and magnetics back on, and bring this down into the corner the same way we did when we were making our sketch. And then I'm going to do that into each one of these corners. Each time making sure that those orange lines there intersecting. Then those top 4 layers, you can merge those together and erase that black in the middle, and then on the layer underneath erase that in the corners, and then pinch those 2 together. And then it looks like we did an okay job of getting those colours to match up there. We can turn the background colour on, and we can also turn the seamless textures back on now. So that is now our finished pattern tile. The great thing about using this diamond repeat method is you don't get any gaps around the edge that show up when you upload to Spoonflower. But before we do save and export this, we can do a test now just to make sure that that is the case and it is all working properly. So I'm going to swipe down to copy all, tap up here onto my top layer and swipe down again and tap paste. Then I'm going to drag this up into the top corner there until you've got the orange lines crossing over in the middle, and it should say 1800 pixels if you're using this 12-inch canvas. Then we can duplicate that and snap it over into this corner. And I'm going to add a layer underneath these of a really dark colour like black, or just something that is going to contrast with your background. Then you can zoom in and just check along your seams here to make sure that everything's lined up and that you haven't got any of those seams showing. If you had that semi-transparent line, this black would show through. Those are okay, so we can pinch those 2 together, duplicate those, and then drag this one down and just zoom in and check that that horizontal seam is okay as well. And that's looking all right. So we can pinch those together and get rid of that one now. Don't forget that you can get all of these stamp brushes in the Pattern Makers Toolkit when you join. It's kind of like a Patreon group, except it's free to join. You'll get access to all the resources in the Pattern Makers Toolkit on my website, including those I make for my Skillshare classes, early access to some of my YouTube tutorials and drawing prompts, discounts in my Etsy store, and one new freebie exclusively via email every month. If you want to find out more about my Skillshare classes, including one which I share my Procreate to Photoshop professional workflow, where I use things like smart objects and automations to build out this pattern tile with one click, you can find that over on Skillshare. And if you're new to Skillshare, you can sign up using the link below and you'll get an extra 30 days for free. And don't forget to subscribe here if you want to see more pattern tutorials like this every Wednesday. Have fun, stay creative, and I will see you soon.